Hello, this is Overlord Nigel, and I'm trying something new here called the Top 5 series. Basically, it's going to be my top 5 videos that I'm going to start using for Random Friday, which is just a random video that I might put up on a Friday. I might put something about top 5, maybe a figure review, or I might randomly not post anything. You never know. But today's top 5 is going to be top 5 games that inspired me as a gamer. So, with the use of my extremely non-fancy web camera, I'm going to start. Now, number 5 is Resident Evil. Now, I'm going to go for the whole series on these ones. Most of these you'll know is a series, because it's not just the one game, it's the whole lot, and the story that builds up through them, etc, etc. Now, with Resi, it was my first horror game. Now, I adore my horror games a lot. For someone who's neurotic and shouldn't be allowed anywhere near them, I rather enjoy scaring the hell out of myself. Now, not only was it my first, but I actually found it was one of the best games to start as a gamer, to start getting into the horror genre, because while it was very, boo, we're gonna, jump out and get you, it didn't really play on your mind that much, while at the same time gave you that on-edge feeling. Was that zombie around the corner? What's that sound? Is it the creaking window? Is it the thing? Another thing I love about the series is the characters. Now, a lot of games make the mistake of making characters you don't give a shit about. But this one, it does. During the game, the first one, bit of spoilers here, you get very angry because Barry betrays you, but then you end up feeling sorry for him because it was kids. He's trying to save his family. The development of characters, especially Chris and Albert Wesker, the main villain, whom one of those characters you love yet you hate. How do I put this? He's a great character, but he's an ass, and you great pleasure in beating him up. And while Wesker's obviously enhanced himself with all the super formula and the T-virus and the Veronicas and all that lot, obviously Chris hasn't, yet Chris as a character through the games you see develop in a way that keeps up with Wesker. And in Resi 5, obviously I haven't got Resi 6 yet because it's not out, Chris can still go head to head, fist to fist with Wesker, despite the fact that Wesker can teleport and goes all Matrixy on you. Another thing I did like was the control system. I know everyone rants about the old style control system, the silly cameras. I thought it was good. It made the game difficult while not making it overly difficult, and it meant you had to sort of think about where you were standing, what you were doing, because you couldn't see what was round the corner, which, not being funny, in a horror situation you wouldn't. I mean, not that I'm saying I don't like the newer style. Resi 4 was a bit of a jump for me to get used to, mostly because, of course, they were still pretty new with the technology. It was very sluggish, and while I haven't played the HD remake yet, I did have a go on the original PlayStation 2 about 2 weeks ago, and all I can really say is, I hate Ashley. Enough said, I hate Ashley. But, they sorted out in 5, the control system's nice, and all that lot, so can't really complain. Anyway, number 4, BioShock 1 and 2, and the Minerva's Den add-on for this one. Now, first thing about BioShock is the visual impact. Again, I was very new into first-person RPGs when I played this. I've never really been a first-person man. I've played COD and all them lot, and I hate them. They're rubbish, in my opinion. Nothing against the storylines, the actual gameplay itself, but to me as a person, I don't like them. And the online community for these games kind of makes me want to not live on this planet anymore. To be polite, not mentioning any American kids that scream faggot, 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 faggot as you're trying to figure out how to use a noob tube, as they refer to them as. But anyway, So first real step into the first person genre that I enjoyed. My screen's gone white here, I hope you guys can still see me. But the first thing that did hit me was the world. You go through this situation and you're in a massive underwater realm and it looks incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, I was absolutely had my breath taken away, especially when you see in HD, because you literally can see every bubble, every fibre of clothing in the Big Daddy's outfit, and it is absolutely amazing. The underwater concept, again, completely new and innovative, and again, breathtaking. Also, it's a believable world, while at the same time obviously being fantasy. You know, you can, if you let yourself do it, you can really get immersed in the game and in the world, and you can kind of forget you're in the real world. Or maybe it's just me, but you know, it's quite nice. Also, another thing that I really did like, apart from obviously the incredibly easy to use sort of combat system, is the fact that the characters are believable as people and agreeable as well with. One of the big villains, or apparent villains, was of course Andrew Ryan's, which as a person myself I can actually relate to a lot, because I can understand working hard and having the taxman take everything, or having someone steal what you've done. I mean, it's happened to me, you know, I built something from the ground and someone I trust to try and nick it. And, you know, I can understand the rage and the anger, and to be honest, if I had the opportunity, I would set up an underwater world sort of thing. You know, I really felt for Andrew Ryan, which is an interesting thing for me as a game, because normally the villain is boo, hiss, you hate him. You don't feel for the villain. You don't want to like the villain, you know. And with Ryan's, while you know he's a bad guy and he's gone too far, you kind of understand why and you feel sympathy for him, which, you know, is quite a lot for especially someone who likes his role play and his story. It's quite in depth and it's quite nice. But yeah, before I start blathering too much about how Andrew Ryan's right and the rest of the world is scum, next one, number 3, and a bit of a shock for some of the people that know me, is Final Fantasy series. This is more the mid-section of the games, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2. They're the big ones for me. The others I haven't really got on with too well. I didn't like 12 at all. I thought it was rubbish. The system that makes it so that you can put the controller down, walk off and get a drink and it kills the boss for you, I personally felt was a bit lame and kind of took you out of the game. You know, it's just like, well, what's the point in playing if the computer does it for you? You might as well just watch a flaming movie. Actually, I think I did actually watch the game on YouTube in the end to save myself the hassle of doing it myself. The online ones, detest. It's not a Final Fantasy. It's Final Fantasy Online. It's not Final Fantasy 11 or 14 or whatever. I mean, 14 was so bad they're restarting it. 13, I think, for the new generation of Final Fantasy games, is the redeeming feature. 13.2, here and there, like, you know, it's quite nice, but I haven't really got into it. Now, the main reason I like the 6 to 10.2, and there is a specific reason why 10.2, despite the fact that everyone slants it a lot, but it's because they follow what I feel is the proper RPG way. Turn-based system, in-depth story, believable characters that are nice, that are likeable, that you can actually feel sympathy for, remorse for, understanding for, and hatred for, you know. nothing gets my blood boiling than thinking how Kefka killed all those people in the village by poisoning the river system, for example. And the first time I lost against Sephiroth, I hit the table so hard I broke it. My mother wasn't very happy with that. I was only like 13, give me a break. But, you know, the graphics aren't amazing compared to today's standards, and Square Enix, if you are watching this, hurry up and re-release 7 in HD. But, you know, you look past that with these games. You ain't here for the graphics, you're in here for the battle system, the story and the characters. And, you know, they're the sort of game that can bring you back. I mean, 7 I have completed 5 times. Complete. Every side mission, every side story, every secret boss. Why? Because it's that much fun. I mean, I completed 13 the other day and put it on the side and ignored it ever since. I think my brother's been playing it. Because I really don't care. You know, while I liked the characters, again, you know, the story was okay. Didn't have that pullback factor. And I think nowadays they're getting lazy because it's okay, we'll get people to replay value because of the achievements. I don't care about achievements, hence I don't care about the game. Now, not saying they were all perfect, every game had their flaws. I mean, 7's was the graphics which, to quote one of my former techs, burnt his eyes by looking at it. Obviously, he had to go after making that comment, and is currently living in a bedsit somewhere, hopefully starving to death. Don't diss my Final Fantasy 7. You know, 8, again, the graphics were okay. One of the big flaws I found was the junctioning system, where you collected the magic and made you stronger. Good idea. But the fact you used the magic then became weaker, kind of, while it left open for strategy, for me, it just got annoying, because you sit there and it's like, right, I can use a spell, but if I do that, I'm going to get my ass kicked because my defense dies. Yeah. That did get a little frustrating. 9 had it pretty good. Did get a little confusing near the end of that, when the final boss turned out to be a giant crystal. Again, spoilers. Which I felt was a bit lame. They just left Garland. You know, I think that would have probably been a little bit more believable. 10's only real flaw, in my opinion, was the levelling up system. Which they did fix in 10.2, thank God. But the whole idea of that you had to fill out the sphere grid, and that everybody could learn everybody else's abilities, and that even if you'd opened up the actual sections to put the spheres in, you then had to beat the monsters to get the spheres before you could level up. Which is okay in some ways, but if you run out of one sphere and the enemies that you need are in like 2 areas time, you're kind of stuck when it comes to leveling up, which, you know, can put a downer on the mood slightly. Now, as I mentioned earlier, 10.2 is one of my guilty pleasures. I love it to bits. I know it's cheesy and it's rubbish and there's all the singing and all that lot, and to be honest, they did kind of turn Yuna into a bit of a jokier character. But, I mean, I can see what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it more girl-friendly, because, sadly, in them days, RPGs were more aimed at blokes. You know, it was more for the toughness and all that lot. And I think 10 and 10.2 especially did break that barrier for the female audience. A lot of the female gamers that I know, when I say best Final Fantasy, they say 10, because, you know, they could in touch more with the characters, while at the same time they didn't alienate the male characters, because male players, not male characters, they alienated the male characters, they just disappeared. But they didn't alienate the male players because they still had the RPG side that we all knew and loved, while at the same time, you know, for the teenagers and that mostly, had the pretty girls in the silly outfits, etc, etc. Um, so, you know, personally, I know it's cheesy, I know it's girly, but I adore Final Fantasy X too. But, yeah, now, number 2, it's a Fallout series. Now, I got introduced to Fallout via Fallout 3, and to be honest, it blew my mind. The whole world, you know, they've practically created. I mean, the Capital Wasteland was amazing, and unlike Skyrim, which I do enjoy, the other ones I'm not so keen on, but Skyrim I enjoy. But in Fallout, you go for a little while and you find something. It might be train tracks, it might be a village, a shack, or something like that, but there's something there, very easy to get to, very easy to find things, well, obviously not be too easy. While games like Skyrim, which in my opinion is kind of like medieval copies of the Fallout idea, Skyrim has that loneliness factor. I mean, I could sit there and travel from one place in Skyrim to another on foot and be about 2 hours without seeing a single soul, a single building, and the only thing I really interact with is a couple of mangy wolves that try and kill me. Or in defense, because my partner loves wolves, I was just training with my sword and they jumped into it. It's not my fault. But with Fallout, the other thing I do like is that it's you that's in the world. It's not a character. It's not, you know, someone else. It is you. You know, it might be a different you, but it's still you. There's no someone else's. There's no other people. You know, you ain't got to try and get into the character's head because it's your head. You make the character as you want. You want to be a good guy, you're the good guy. If you want to be the bad guy, you're the bad guy. And it is, it's absorbing. I mean, I used to have it set up on the big widescreen with surround sound, and the wife turned the power off one day because I got so absorbed into the game that I couldn't even hear the rest of the world. Which wouldn't have been an issue if I hadn't spent 8 hours on it. Yeah, someone got in trouble for that. But no, you know, it is quite an amazing game, and the fact, especially in New Vegas, where they did update a lot of it, you know, everything was useful within reason. I mean, even in the first game, all the random junk, if you made the rocket launcher, or rock-it launcher, you could shoot it out as weapons. In the Fallout in Vegas, a lot of items were, pardon me, were amazingly useful for making odds and sods. You could make health packs, you could make stuff to repair yourself, make weapons, repair kits, upgrade your own guns and armor. So it did make it a more of an in-depth experience. And for me, you know, again, absolutely amazing idea. You really feel for the characters, or the character, because it's you. You know, you care about the people. You know, you sit there when you talk to the people in the Church of Atom and think they're a bunch of nut jobs. You know, like you would the crazy old girl down the road who has 400 bin bags attached to her lorry and 5 cats in a backpack. Not, well, that's a silly character. You know, you actually think of them as people, even though you're still consciously thinking of them as computer game characters. Don't worry, I'm not that loopy. Well, actually I am, but that's another talk for another day. Also, the graphics, really good, especially with the HD boost up that 3 and New Vegas did get. Recently started playing 3 again, because I was told there was an HD boost up for the PC version, so I bought the PC version with all the add-ons. Couldn't get it to work, so I thought, well, I'll go and play on the Xbox version, then got a patch that update that HD. So I spent £10 on a game that I didn't really need to. But hell, mod time, so you learn. Cue video 10 minutes. So yeah, you know, again, amazing story, amazing people, and amazing views and graphics, just amazing. If you've not played it before, give it a go. It's not everyone's cup of tea. You know, some people don't like it. You know, you've got your die-hard Skyrimers who think it's too intense and prefer to be lost in the woods, apparently. Or it's just people who just don't like it because they don't like the style. But personally, one of the best games out there for the Xbox and the PC. And now, number one. Now this shouldn't be a shock to anybody who watches my website. Pokemon. Now, Pokemon, while it isn't the most in-depth story, it isn't the most amazing thing on the planet. For me, it's quite a big one because I grew up with it. You know, I was still in little school when Pokemon Red came out. I had the original copy. My ex stole it. Boo is her. But you know, I grew up with them, which obviously that does bring an attachment to it. But as I've watched the games enhance, you know, I've watched the different Pokemon turn up, I've watched the stories get more in depth and more sort of dilemma-ish. While the basic story is there, you know, you get your Pokemon, you go off and you become the master, beat the Elite Four, save the world, even though you're like fucking 10 years old. You know, to quote Professor Oak, it's too dangerous to go into the grass without a Pokeball, but taking out evil organisations, A-OK. But for me, the big thing is actually the, the battling friends, family. I mean, it's a big thing in my family. My brothers play it, my missus plays it, my boy plays it. Alright, I'm the best. Terry is going to kill me for saying that later. But, you know, for me that is probably the most important thing and probably the most inspiring thing for me as a gamer. Because once you've beaten the game, as a game it isn't really much to come back to. You go in, you beat the Elite Four, you struggle all the way up, you get all 150 or 472,892 as it's ending up the way things are going. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a 5th gen hater. I just kind of getting a little sick and tired of the fact that they've made 150 new Pokemon and no new EVs. Still can't make a true EV team. No ground. You know, ground. Good idea. God. You know, Pokemon, if you're watching, ground EV. But yeah, mild rant over. But yeah. But for me, it was the most important thing was the fact that you can play with other people, you know, and I'll sit there and I will make amazing teams and I'll work on strategies with HBK Adam, with Terry, and I argue with the missus because I'm not doing the washing up because I'm doing the Pokemon instead, because there's, how do I put it, you want to do it because you want to engage with the other people who are trying just as hard to beat you. You know, I mean, I will spend hours breeding. I've learned all the tricks, all the effort values. I mean, I'm still learning stuff today, you know, which is saying a lot for someone who would, at one point, used to dedicate at least 3 or 4 hours a day to training and strategies and stuff. But again, you know, it might seem a little sad, but I was doing it with my brothers, which, you know, good bit of family bonding time, you know, and for the fact that we don't really have the space or the ability to play Scrabble or Connect or all those other traditional family games, and well, with my bum leg I can't really go and play football anymore. So, you know, this is something that's nice. You know, we can all do it, and I'm waving my hands because I've got nuts. And it is a really big family thing for me. And that is why I love it. That's why it inspires me the most as a player, because it makes me get up and want to play and keep playing. Because, you know, I mean, the others, I can play them and I will love them dearly, and they've inspired me to try different things and different ideas. You know, Reggie's got me into the horror idea, Bioshock into first person, which I'm slowly getting better at. You know, the Final Fantasy got me into RPGs, and a bit of a funny story. My English teacher told me to play Final Fantasy VII since it actually increased my reading and writing ability, due to the fact that despite being autistic and all that lot, I was learning to read. Because while you shove a book in front of someone's face, they're just going to sit there and go, that's too much, and throw it out the window. Or maybe that's just me. But with a Final Fantasy game, it's something that interacts with you, it brings a thing, and you are secretly learning. So, you know, RPGs, brilliant, help me read, learn to read properly. Now you can't stop me, I'm currently reading something by a Russian author I cannot pronounce the name of. Well, again, I tangent. But yeah, let's try and wrap this up now. These are the games that inspired me as a gamer, and really have inspired me to do the whole Overlord Nigel channel and all the other crazy ideas that I do in my life with anime clubs and stuff like that. And not just the fact that I like dressing up as Liquid Snake and beating up Terry, who dresses up like Solid Snake. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video and listening to me rant for, what was it, half an hour or whatever. If you like the video, press the like button, little corner there, wrong way Nigel, down there, subscribe, tell your friends, you know, post it on Facebook, give it to the international news and put it on the news at 10, whatever, you know, just share the message. You know, I'm trying to get more into this. If you've got any comments, any ideas, feel free to say. I'm trying all new ideas, different ideas. I want to try and, you know, get better at what I'm doing. You know, get a greater entertainment value for the viewer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.